Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to another Irish stew video where I vent about all sorts of things that are on my mind. It seems to be kind of video that a lot of you like, and I missed a day. I missed a few days, but I meant to do one yesterday. Yesterday was one of those weird days. I had a wonderful video chat with Hannah from Hannah's Books, and then the day just felt off. It just felt off. Now, a lot of you emailed me. I put a community post up saying I was going to make just that one video and not any others. A lot of you emailed me and asked, is everything all right? You'll be missed, that sort of thing. Crazy things like that, because most booktubers go several days between videos. I was really touched by all of that, and the explanation is the one that has governed my video making for the whole time that I've had this channel, which is that if I don't actually feel like making a video, I don't do it. Because I'll know right away that it's wrong. It'll feel horrible if I try to make a video when I'm not feeling like making a video. So I didn't, but I'm back. And we have an Irish stew video for today, and it's going to follow the normal route where we talk about the broader world, and then the United States, and then broader YouTube, and then specifically BookTube, and then me. And so that you can latch onto any part of that you find interesting. And for the larger world, we're once again going outside the larger world, which I always find fascinating, because the European Space Agency has done, recently they've been releasing more and more finds from the Cassini probe, revolving specifically around a moon of Saturn. Saturn, the ringed planet the most famous ringed planet in our system, has lots and lots of moons, and one of them is Enceladus. And Enceladus is a very bright little moon that certainly seems like it has a crust of water ice that's miles deep that may hide a mantle of water. Not liquid methane or anything like that, but water. It's an odd situation. Enceladus does not have a molten core. It does not have a magnetic field of any kind. But it does get warped a little by Saturn's gravity and by the Sun's gravity. Enough so that there's a little bit of a massive internal movement, which can produce heat. And for a while, scientists have theorized that maybe that means that there is liquid water under Enceladus's ice surface. One of the main reasons that they think that is an astonishing discovery, which is that there are gigantic geysers of water blasting out from the crust of the planet regularly. So that leads people to think, well, okay, if there's internal pressure of some kind, maybe internal heat building up, that might cause those geysers to break through the ice and blast out into space. And the whole point, if you're a science fiction reader, the first thing you're going to think when you hear that is, if water can go out, things can go in. And so it's possible that there are microbes that live in the oceans of Enceladus. And recent further study by the European Space Agency has made that seem a little more likely. Certain very, very technical biochemical details have made that seem a little more likely. So NASA will be paying extra attention to all the data that, NASA is shut down. No one's at their desks. But that leads us from the world neatly to the U.S. because I have three subjects that are on my mind for the U.S., and one of them is that the government of the United States is shut down. I think this is day 4 of the shutdown, or day 5. And I have seen endless political commentators on TV and on YouTube talking about how, the public is starting to blame the fascist party for this shutdown. It's certainly seeming to them like the Trump shutdown. It's really going to hurt them at the polls. It's really going to hurt them at the midterms. I've seen these commentators say, the minority leader of the House and the Senate, they have some bargaining chips when the MAGA party comes to the table. And I honestly don't understand that at all. I don't understand what universe these people are living in. I understand that momentum can be a strong factor, but why on earth would any commentator think that this shutdown is going to stop? It's not a question of what you have to bring to the table if the people that you're supposed to be negotiating with aren't at the table or in the building or in the neighborhood. No one from MAGA is going to negotiate with the Democrats. It's the government is going to get back up and running, so all the government benefits and checks and all that sort of stuff, the national parks, national buildings, all of that that's dark right now, the only way that's ever going to come back online is if the Democrats in the House and Senate completely capitulate to everything that Trump wants. Now, they're saying they absolutely won't do that, but okay, then there won't be a government. They'll just be Trump. They'll just be the fascists in power with all the money. So I don't get that at all. I don't understand why the people who are analyzing this government shutdown think that it's like any other government shutdown, and yet they do. They think, well, the clock's ticking. Things going to end pretty quick. So there's mounting pressure on the government every day for this to end. I don't get that. This government shutdown is not going to end unless the Democrats completely capitulate, which they have a long track record of doing, so they could do that. But otherwise, no. The fascists aren't going to come to the table and say, well, this is really hurting us in the polls. Obviously, they're going to be tanks at your polling place. They're not worried about the midterms. But that's one subject, is this government shutdown. At the end of the U.S. government. Trump is going to use this as a chance that comes out of a heaven-sent chance to just clear out the government and fire people. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. So, but that's one subject. And then another subject, of course, and if you follow news in America at all, then you've seen this story, which is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense for the United States of America, called together all of the generals and admirals that run our armed forces and all the support staff. So tens of millions of dollars spent to fly them from everywhere in the world to Quantico so that he could have a talk with them. And Trump decided to be present, to give an address to these troops himself. And the person who orchestrated this, Stephen Miller, knew perfectly well that the stupid, fascist-enabling, utterly incompetent American mainstream press would concentrate on the circus sideshow that was Pete Hegseth, standing there in front of these admirals and generals, talking about how we're going to have an old-fashioned military where he didn't say, but where we pay black soldiers a third of what we pay white soldiers. But he did say where drill sergeants, especially during inducting people into the military services, are perfectly free to brutalize those inductees during Hell Week or whatnot, during basic training. You're free to brutalize them, and they're also free to give the subtle word to everyone else there, all the other cadets, the officers and whatnot, that they can brutalize people too, because it'll make a man out of them. Pete Hegseth has never been brutalized a day in his life. He has brutalized women, but he's never been brutalized himself a day in his life. He'd cry like a baby if he did. But the architect of this whole event wanted the mainstream media to concentrate on him, and the mainstream media has obediently done so, and is only tardily reporting that the most important thing of that whole meeting was that Donald Trump, I know this is a tired word, we all say it was demented. It was a demented speech. It was a slurring, sloppy, slow-eyed, sleepy, weepy speech. I'm breaking tears. There has never been anyone who talks like this in public, in American public life, ever. In his speech, he told the heads of the U.S. military that a big part of their mission in the future, the immediate future, will be to kill Americans. To go into cities that are run by people I don't like and kill the people in them that I don't like. Now, Trump didn't use the word kill, but he has said in memorandums, including a national security memorandum, a national security directive that he gave, that full force could be used. And full force is killing your opponent. And people were looking at his. It's easy to dismiss the speech that he gave because it was so malignant and petty and stupid and delusional and slurry and demented. It was so demented that people are dismissing it. And some people who've been dismissing it are saying, well, you know, he's just talking about rioters in those cities. If that would be illegal, yes, but that's all he meant. But no, in the National Security Directive that I mentioned, he was talking about ordering his intelligence agencies to start preparing dossier and start hunting down people who exhibit signs that underlie a potential proclivity for terrorism. And the directive listed those signs. If you are anti-American, which means anti-Trump. If you are anti-capitalist, which I guess means anti-American. If you are anti-Christian, so 120 million Americans, 125 million Americans who aren't Christian, were just told that they're terrorists. And that if they proclaim their anti-Christianity out loud, well, you know, the various intelligence agencies can start to keep a dossier on them, or maybe even knock on your door, or just kill you. If you are anti-Christian, then you are now on a terrorist watch list, or soon will be. And everyone was concentrating on those, so they were leaving out the one other thing, the one other quality that was listed in that memorandum, in that directive, that makes someone a terrorist. And that quality was to be anti-fascist. If you are anti-fascist, it is viewed now, the national security agencies in this country, the intelligence gathering agencies in this country, have now been told by their bosses, by the government, that they should now consider you suspect. If you're anti-fascist, they should consider you a suspect. So the President of the United States, in the matter of days, not only said that anyone who's not pro-Trump, pro-greed, Christian, and pro-fascism, anyone who isn't those things, he now considers a terrorist, an enemy of this country, and he's instructing his government agencies to view it in that way too. He said that, and he also told the Army and the Navy that they should prepare to kill Americans. Which Americans? Those Americans. The ones he described in the National Security Directive. Those Americans. He didn't explicitly say kill. He said full force. So the President of the United States, who is not going to lose any support in the midterms because there's not going to be any free elections in this country anymore, and who's certainly not going to leave office in 2028, the President of this country just told the Army that you are the enemy, and yet you are still here, without even the thought crossing your mind to leave. Not even the thought crossing your mind. And I know I've said it a million times before, I do not understand that. I fundamentally do not understand that. So the radical left is Donald Trump's routine term for anybody that doesn't like. Anybody. Lifelong Republican. Radical left. Anyone that doesn't kneel to him, that doesn't kneel on both knees. Not putting on one knee to Lord Joffrey, but putting on two knees to God. Anyone who doesn't do that is the radical left. RL. Radical left. So I guess 250 million Americans are waiting until the government says there's an armband. It's got the letters RL on it. You're perfectly free to have your political opinions. We're not monsters, after all. We're not fascists, even though you call us that. Even though you call us Nazis, and a couple of our talk show mouthpieces say, well, maybe we should call ourselves Nazis. We're not that. We're not the bad guys here. Nevertheless, even though you've got all those freedoms, we want to be able to know you. We want to be able to know who we're on the bus with, who we're in line with, who we're at the DMV with. So there's an armband. RL. And if you can't prove that you've been Trump since 2015, you got to wear it. Who's going to make you? Well, there are troops in your street. And they want to know who they're looking for. Trump said it to his admirals and generals. He said, well, he slurred it to them. He said, they're worse an enemy, but those guys wear uniforms. These guys say these people don't wear uniforms. He wants to be able to visually identify them. Will that be enough? Too bad. Because by the time that happens, the gates will long since be closed. You won't be allowed to leave. No RL, no armband will be allowed to leave. Or if you're allowed to leave, maybe you've got an important junket for business, all your relatives will be insisted to stay behind. As I have said now for 10 years, these things only ever happen in one way. And the president of your country, if you're an American, the president of your country has not only said that the army is going to target you, but he said who the you is. Anyway, that's the U.S. And it's permanently shut down government. Can we get over that illusion? It's a permanently shut down government. Anyway, we move on to YouTube. And with YouTube, I've got a bad thing and a good thing to talk to you about. I've got an annoying thing and an uplifting thing. So let's do the annoying thing first so we can end on the uplifting thing. The annoying thing was somebody that I've done a series of videos on this channel called Bro Watch, where I talk about some dude bro who is, bilking money out of feckless incels on YouTube, making a whole bunch of motivational videos. I used to do videos tearing them to pieces. I haven't done it in quite some time. And one of the number one candidates that you're all still sending me candidates for Bro Watch because you very much want Bro Watch to continue. And maybe we should have another one by the end of the year. But one of the number one candidates that you always send to me is Chris Williamson. This meathead wrestler, little pretty boy who has an extremely popular podcast, YouTube show, the type where the popularity has gone straight to his pretty little head. He has no idea how insular it is. None at all. He has no idea that the world doesn't know who he is. In fact, he thinks that, like most Dude Bro podcast chin strokers, he thinks that he is reshaping the nature of ontological reality by the force of his thinking about it. Him and his guests, that they are shaping reality with their thinking, and that really there aren't any other thinkers, and all the specialists in sciences and whatnot, they're good enough in their way, but we need to really wrestle with reality, because when it gets out of shape over here, we've got to wrestle it back into shape, and so on and so forth. I don't have any idea what Chris Williamson was like when he started. I'm pretty sure that he probably started in front of a camera in a completely different way than being a thinker, a deep thinker, an influencer, a thought leader. I'm pretty sure that he was probably an actor of some kind. I have no idea what his early videos like, but every single one of those young men, every single one of them very quickly drifts to the alt-right griftosphere. All of them do, because that's where the money is. And he recently did a video where he talked with none other than Ryan Holiday. And the video was called Why Most Smart People Become Stupid. And I was severely Bro Watch tempted when I watched it. Because I'm still bothered by a video that he did probably 2 months ago. It's still on my mind because of how bad it was. And this was almost as bad. The answer to why most smart people become stupid is Ryan Holiday. Is this brosphere of chin stroking, fart sniffing. That is why when they say most smart people, they mean most smart men. They don't mean women, and they don't mean anyone who doesn't watch their show or might not watch their show. They mean a very specific thing when they say people. And the reason why those people become stupid is because of them. So it was unbelievably irritating, and I hear your voices that maybe Bro Watch is required, maybe so. And Ryan Holiday has certainly written a lot of books, written here in heavy air quotes. He certainly assembled a lot of books. He's tailored together a lot of books, so it would technically qualify. And I'm sure that Chris Williamson right now has some terrified undergraduate writing a book for him. I'm sure that he does. It was so hilariously, bitterly hilarious to listen to him talk with Ali Abdaal, where Ali Abdaal has a bunch of school supply products that he makes, blank notebooks and whatnot, and Chris Williamson has a gray market North Korean energy drink. has no idea what's in it, but it's certainly he has certainly positioned it in every single conversation, not just in his own shots or broad shots of the table, but in close-up shots of his guests. This product marketing brain juice thing that he and Ali Abdaal were talking in one of these long bloviating conversations, and at one point they casually mentioned that I think we use the same people. Yeah, the same people. Wait, for an energy drink and school supplies? Now, the same brokerage firm that uses the slaves in China to do both. Anyway, that is the unsavory thing, is why most smart people become stupid. But the uplifting thing is Catholic mom and daughter. Dual channels are tough to do. They are tough to keep doing between a mother and a daughter, which has got to make things even harder to do. But, a mother and daughter, they are devout Catholics, and they make videos about the Catholic world experience. So what are you thinking at this time of the year? What are you thinking about this Catholic holiday? Here are some Catholic reads. That's how they came across my algorithm, is that they talked about Catholic books. And they are doing this wonderful series where they go to various libraries. Well, they go on field visits to various libraries, and they went to Sullivan's Island in South Carolina. They went to the Edgar Allan Poe Library, and they give you a visual tour. And I don't remember from that video if they've done others, and maybe I just have missed them, but I'm never going to miss any other. I hope they go to a library a month. That would be wonderful. I'll leave a link. I'll even leave a link to Chris Williamson to that video just because I'm talking about it, but you shouldn't watch it. It'll make you dumb. But anyway, that's broader YouTube. Then we can move to BookTube. Of course, BookTube is now in the middle, or now has launched on one of its primary events, which is Victober. And in honor of Victober, for Poetry Thursday, James, Quaint and Curious Volumes, read Alfred Lord Tennyson's Ulysses, which is a poem that I've read on this channel, and it is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So there you go. That's a fine way to start. And then, not so much in terms of Victober, because they don't know anything about it. Nothing at all. Not just the event, but the time period. They don't know anything about it. And that is the brothers Gwynne. The sons of the author John Gwynne. The fantasy author John Gwynne, who's very good. The brothers Gwynne have their own channel. It's another dual act. And they did a recent video where they talk about their October TBR, in which they talk about Victober and how eager they are to dive into a reread. I think it's the third time for Ed and the second time for of Middlemarch. No, they haven't read Middlemarch or anything else. They read fantasy. They say they don't, and occasionally they make gestures along those lines, like Cormac McCarthy or American history, American Plains Indian history, or something like that. But no, they keep going back to fantasy. these big fantasy novels. But it's engaging anyway. Tremendously engaging, and I love their videos. So they do an October TBR video. I'll leave a link to it down below. And, as long as you go in not expecting a lot of variety, you'll be pleased. They have a really wonderful chemistry together. I've recommended them before, so it won't be new to some of you. And then finally we can get on to the subject of me, the most important subject, I think. We'll wrap up with the most important subject, me, and the ongoing drama that I'm having, which has nothing to do with the drama of yesterday. Yesterday's drama was odd. It came to me out of nowhere, and I thought, okay, well, this thing has happened, and it doesn't directly stop you from making videos. You just have to change your location and maybe change your routine a little. And boy, oh boy, I don't know if maybe I'm getting old at 28, but I did not feel like doing that at all. I thought, okay, well, you're going to have to change location and your seating arrangement and your camera placement and everything else. And I thought, either do all of that or just skip it. And I thought, oh, just skip it. Which is pretty odd. You'd think I'd have more dedication to all my imaginary BookTube friends, but no. I'm not talking about that as a crisis, and I'm not talking about the crisis that I had this morning, although I had a crisis this morning, an annoying crisis where I should not deal with the outside world at all, but I relied on an institution to do something for me. I'll keep it vague because I want to get over the anger of it. I asked an institution, okay, I need you to do this for me under your premature, so I need you to call place X and get them ready. And then I will go to place X and your call will have readied them. And they said, oh, yeah, we'll do that. Do that right away. And they didn't. And I didn't. called to check ahead of time. I didn't forestall in any way. Instead, I went to place X, and they were not ready. Had never heard. Had no preparation whatsoever. And I thought, okay, that's really annoying, but you're just a person behind the counter. There's no point in me taking my anger out on you. You didn't do anything wrong. I will just step out of line. I will call the institution, and I will get them to make the connection while I stand here and wait. So I stepped out of line, which of course was enormous. Pulled out my phone, and it was dead. Had a full battery charge last night. This Samsung, this Android phone. I pulled out my Android phone, and it was dead. I just stared at it. Like the prize-winning fool. I just stared at it and thought, okay, so you can't do anything here. You can't ask that person behind the counter to just do what you want without any authorization at all, and you can't get in touch with the people who were supposed to authorize it and didn't. You have to just walk out the door. Not a word, not a peep, without anything. So I did. That was a crisis. That was definitely a little crisis. But I'm not talking about either of those crises. I'm talking about another crisis, because I'm full of crises. I've been typing on my MacBook, and I love it, of course. I do a lot of work every day. I know it doesn't sound it, because I'm on my fainting couch all day long, but I do a lot of work every day, a lot of writing. And I type on the MacBook, and I don't have the best sense of touch, and I learned how to type on a manual typewriter. Now, I have, over the years, learned to soften my typing so that I am whispering across the keyboards. But still, it's a little heavy-handed. And I flick at the keys. I will flick at the keys, almost like I'm going to pluck one off the keyboard, which I've actually done on earlier laptops. It just lasts a fraction of a second, but it feels and sounds horrible. It's just a horrible thing, little thing, and it kept happening. This is why on my old iPad, I had a cloth keyboard. There was no possibility of me clicking on anything, of me snagging on anything. The keyboard was covered in cloth. So there were no gaps between the keys where anything could go. Anything. Hair by the bucket load goes down there. Everything goes down there. And there's no way for me to get at it. There's no way for me to lift the front and clean on the spaces underneath there. Not only could that not happen with my cloth keyboard, but I couldn't catch my fingers on anything. I love that cloth keyboard. I used it like crazy. And then the last time he was here, Christopher Russell declared it dead. He said, it's not a question of this thing connecting to the iPad, it's just dead. The keyboard is dead. And they don't make, as far as I can tell, they don't make a cloth-covered keyboard of any kind for any new iPad. For this. This is the M1 iPad Air, for instance. They don't, as far as I can tell, there's no third-party maker that makes a cloth-covered keyboard for this thing. I have the Apple Magic keyboard, but it's not cloth-covered. And it's also not all that good. It's not all that adaptable. So that I don't type on this thing. There were huge amounts of time where I typed everything. I worked exclusively on that old iPad. That was heaven, and I've been booted out of heaven. And I was working on the laptop, and I kept snagging my fingers and thinking, you're going to pop a key off one of these things. And then what are you going to do? You're going to have to try and epoxy it back on. And then it occurred to me, for years and years and years, you solved this problem, and then you got rid of the solution and forgot about it, but now you can readapt the solution, which is a keyboard cover. A keyboard cover that is just thin plastic and form fits to the keyboard. So I felt like a fool for forgetting that. So I went to Amazon and ordered one right away. And you'll never guess what. I ordered the wrong one. I ordered the wrong one. It came in a couple of days of me snagging my fingers on keys. I waited a couple of days, and then it came, and it was the wrong size. So I went into the settings or the About This Mac section of the computer, and I exhaustively learned what I am ordering for, and I ordered a second one, and it came, and now I'm using it. And I like it okay, but I'm wondering what other keyboard covers might be out there that might be better. I'm using the keyboard cover now, and I'm liking it, but I get the sense that it's not strong enough, and that eventually I'm going to wear a hole in the plastic on top of the S, D, and A keys. Those are going to wear out, and that maybe some of the others are going to wrinkle or bunch up a little. So I ideally, I was going to say, what I really want is the perfect skin for a MacBook keyboard cover, the perfect covering for a MacBook keyboard. But what I really want is a cloth keyboard, a folio keyboard is what Apple called their old one, for this. And I'm never going to get it. It doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't exist. There are gaps between the keys in every third-party keyboard that I can get for that MacBook or iPad, so I'm stuck. So my crisis, I have temporarily averted my crisis by using a plastic covering on the keyboard. You should see it. I'm looking at it right now, and you should see it. It looks like somebody backed up the world's smallest garbage truck and dumped it like that. It's got refuse all over it. I don't know why I'm such a dirty person, but it's got refuse all over it. Now, on the one hand, that's frustrating, but on the other hand, it's encouraging because all that would be under the keys if this thing weren't here. So there you go. That's my little crisis for now, is a covering for the keyboard. I miss that cloth keyboard so much. Even after Christopher told me that it was defective, it itself was defective, I still kept it. Ooh. Anyway, that's it for now. That is another Irish Stew video. I'm going to wrap this up. I will leave links to whatever I can link to, and I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.